The time is?
It is, looks to be like 1:10 in the afternoon or 1:09, according to the clock on the wall. The monthly meeting of the Board of the San Carlos Estates Water Control District is now called to order at 1:09 on September 23rd, 2023, and a quorum is present. Thank you all for coming. At least it's going to be fun now. Roll call. Chairman Jim Bradford, Vice Chairman Jennifer Finazzo, Supervisor John Salucci, Secretary Treasurer Chris Lawson, Manager Audrey Mendrez. Yes, she's still here. Okay. As you can see, the agenda has been posted on. Anyway, it has been posted. We're going to. When do we vote for the officers of the?
Down under the business agenda item.
We're moving forward.
Yes, sir.
We're on number 3.
Okay. We're going to receive the engineer's report. It better be quick.
Has anything changed from 10 o'clock this morning?
Are you done yet?
Are there any questions?
I am done. Yes, any questions?
Well, you got the open permits for the month?
Yeah.
The new permits for the month?
Permits for the month, we had,
How's the year?
we've got, let me go back to my open. We've got
You had 6.
23 that are open. They're currently under review. We've received no new permits for the past, since the last meeting. Since the last meeting, we have closed or finalized 4 permits, and we have conducted 39 inspections.
Okay. Is that your report?
That in
Thank you.
addition to the previously provided comments.
We have that. Thank you very much.
We do have some issues to talk about with respects to a couple of the business items. I believe 11G and 11J.
We'll get them when we get down there.
So are we going to talk about the Comcast permit next month? The Comcast permit fee next month?
I would prefer to do that as we suggested earlier during the annual or landowners meeting, that we put together a package on budgets for review fees and bring that to the board next month for discussion.
So that'll continue item 11. No.
No. 11J will be continued. Yes.
11J.
Yes.
The utility permit fee item. This would be continued.
No, that's something else.
11J, I believe, was the utility permit fee. That's the Comcast and the existing culverts and what's an appropriate fee.
Oh, yeah, I guess
You want to do next time?
I prefer to put the package together and bring that forward so we can push that off till next one.
Okay.
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 Moving. Do you have anything else?
But the culvert fee, $200 versus $750 for the use connection, you're going to put off for next month as well. That was not on an item. That was going to be as part of your discussion.
Well, in the landowners meeting, I discussed all of those, and with the recommendation to put something together, particularly an analysis of what our cost had been versus permits issued, that sort of information for the board for next month.
Manager's report.
Yay.
Oh, thank you. Manager's report.
Thank you for the good
Can you hear me?
I've stated everything in the landowners meeting. I have no new business. Anybody got a question?
You're not the manager.
No.
Pardon?
You're not the manager.
Ah, shoot.
Manager.
Slow down, Jim.
So there are a couple of things I just want to report. As we all know, the
It
gates.
says chair report on mine.
Oh, wait a minute. Can I cut you?
Manager report, go.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. So,
You're using the
as
wrong
we know,
report.
the gate can be a pain in the patoots. So it had a crack, and yes, we were able to repair it with Bob from Gatekeepers
We'll change
to the
that.
tune of $369.95. And I don't want to step on Ron's toes, but I just wanted to bring up the whole little bit of success with vacuum day. Was successful to clear out some ditches, and we'll hopefully continue the rest of the ditches once the board approves. That's later on down the road. They do have a competitor, Shenandoah, who did submit quite an estimate, tuning somewhere around, and they broke it down to desilt 28 storm culverts located north and south end of each road, $12,600, culvert pipe miter, end and structure at $450 each, total of $736 within the district, to the tune of $331,200, and north and south sides of Strike Lane. And in the estimate that I have given to you guys, you can see the breakdown, averages $66,300. Just to give you guys an idea of what we're looking at, what some people are actually paying for maintenance from that company. As we discussed earlier, FPL is on hold. I haven't heard from them yet, but I will reach out again. When it comes to cleaning the canals and the help me out with verbiage here. No.
Mariah Benita.
What do they call
And
those?
Stillwell, the perimeter
Yes, thank you, perimeter canals and roads. We did receive an estimate. I know Ron has been trying. I saw the emails dating back from August and September. Multiple contacts with Gerald were unsuccessful, so that when I met with DNS Land Management, they did submit an estimate to take care of the swales, canals, permit roads for a total of $44,000. Work estimated to start in 7 to 10 days upon approval, and they did receive the scope of work, and they're in agreement with everything that's in there. So I give that to you guys. It's in the little packet that I had handed to all of the board members. I also, just for an FYI, I'm bringing this up now. There was a company that came through, Collier Paving and Concrete, that did submit an estimate of what it would cost for Strike Lane and Stillwell Parkway, including mobilization, permitting and engineering, traffic maintenance, milling, asphalt, paving, asphalt, and restriping paving, marking per existing, and their estimate totaled $670,011.10. And that seems to be it. The website's up and running. Thank you so much, John and Jennifer.
Audrey, question.
Yes.
For the record,
Yes.
I think you and Ron were doing some analysis of vacuum dig.
Correct.
And based on the work they've completed so far, that meets our satisfaction.
That's it.
Correct.
If we did a, quote,
Oh, no.
cost per drain, it seems
Information.
like they're 75%
What would it
less
cost?
than Shenandoah, more or less.
Yes, that
And
is
so
correct.
once they meet our specs, they're going to be much more cost effective.
Sure. And
So if we're going to continue and do more things with them, they seem to be a potential vendor. Would you agree with that or not?
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I'm just not remembering that.
So that ends my report.
But we just need to make, I'm down here stuttering, we just need to make sure that they understand this is just an estimate.
An estimate, yes.
Correct.
that
It's
is
not a
correct.
contract.
It's not a contract, that's signed for
And
nothing.
we will have to go through a competitive selection process. They just need to understand that.
They are aware.
Okay, all right, good. Okay, thank you.
They
Okay.
don't want to know anything. No,
Are
they
we
just want to
sure
be
this work?
stupid.
I do have a question, and I'm going to direct it toward Audrey. Our perimeter roads are getting immensely overgrown along Canal Road going out to I-75. I would like to make a suggestion that we hire somebody with a box blade, or not box blade, but tractor with
Slope
a
mower.
slope mower, whatever. And we have them engage in an initial cleaning program of cutting the perimeter roads and everything they can get with the mowing device before we start a contract with another company.
We currently have, and I'll go ahead and jump to that issue to with your permission. We currently have a proposal from DNS, who were here previously, to provide that service for maintenance of the perimeter canal system.
And for the record, I think they actually live here.
They do.
They do.
Landowners, yes. So
They
they're,
do.
Their proposal, according to their information, I double checked and sent an email to them just to affirm that their proposal was consistent with the RFP that we had issued to others previously, and received no response to that.
Okay.
May I interject?
Sure.
And this might be my fault, and I apologize ahead of time if it was. After I got the scope of work, is that what you were referring to? The scope of work, I sent it to them and I asked them, is this everything in here? Is this what you're agreeing to? Just look it over and let me know and make adjustments as needed. He read through it, he got back to me via email, and I have that.
We have that.
If I did not send it to you, I'm sorry.
We have that.
All right.
We have confirmation from the vendor that they can and will meet their scope of services, and budget does meet the scope of the RFP and scope of services that was provided. Their proposal was in an amount of $44,000 for a one-time cleanup of the perimeter canal system. Works out to about $1.52 a lineal foot. If you've not seen the RFP, it requires them to, it's very selective with respects to how they manage the bank. They are not to disturb the bank, they're simply to cut and remove the material and apply herbicides as appropriate. In consideration of time, we started this process in early August, or before that. We solicited from Gerald's in early August. I've talked to Gerald at least twice, maybe 3 times since that time. Every time I've talked to him, he's told me that he would get me a proposal, and I've yet to receive anything, even an email saying it's on its way. I sent him out another inquiry early last week. I have not heard anything back. So my presumption at this point is they're not interested in proposing. We do have a qualified proposal. Jim, to go to find a contractor to do just the slope mowing. I mean, we're probably another 30 days to get that guy in the field. I think we can get these guys in the field within a week to 10 days.
I see that this only includes the perimeter roads, perimeter ditch system, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes.
Did we get a proposal at all from them to?
For the interior treatment, no.
Okay.
I never asked them.
This was just the perimeter.
I don't have a comparison for previous work done by our previous vendors to determine whether this is a good number or a bad number without knowing that.
I looked at the budget.
I'm not talking about the budget. I'm talking about, you know, when somebody says, you put this amount of money there, that's what we're going to spend.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always like, we put the money there to have the money to spend. We spend what we need to do.
I looked at the proposal or the contract that Gerald was operating under. And this number is actually a little higher than that. But the scope of services for what we're asking them to do is also higher.
Much more extensive
than what Gerald had been previously required to do. Let's see.
Ron, would it suffice to say that the existing conditions of the perimeter canals are probably beyond the normal scope of what we would do?
Yes, they are.
So it's so overgrown that you've got to attack this, I think, at some point, whether it's Gerald's, DNS, or XYZ company.
Yep.
Okay.
Our alternative is to rebid. Send this back out to a larger pool of contractors.
After the meeting we had at the city of Bonita the other day, it leads me to believe that we may be able to acquire either equal to or whatever. So, but I do understand how overgrown everything has gotten, and that it probably needs attention.
Well, again, this was originally intended to be a one and done cleanup and then a follow-up for annual maintenance. But again, we started this in August. And
here's a technical question. Is it better to clean the perimeters, then get a company like a vacuum dig to clean the perimeter canals, and then they can see what they're doing, versus clean the drains and then go back and clean all this?
I think it's an either or.
Oh, okay.
The amount of material that they're going to generate from the perimeter discharge outfall pipes is going to be inconsequential with respects to
the cleanup.
The cleanup.
Okay.
How many weeks do we have left of the rainy season?
I've always wanted to be a weatherman, but they don't have to be right.
The Farmer's Almanac says we're going to have a wetter than normal
Yeah,
winter.
that's the one thing I'm concerned about. We might have a wetter winter.
That I already know. So, then I would think that they said they can start within 7 to 10 days. We're at September 23rd now.
23rd, yeah.
So beginning of October, they could do it.
If we do this, let's get it started after the beginning of October. That puts us a little closer to the end of the rainy season.
Okay.
Sure.
Therefore, reducing the amount of regrowth that we will have before, and because anytime you touch soil, things like it bloom up really fast. So let's try to get it started the first week in October.
So
And
is that a motion to
So
approve?
Not now. Not now.
we haven't
get
gotten
to
to
the
do it
business
right.
later.
Right. This was just questioning from me to them.
So I got one more question about this. I don't know anything about this, so did we do enough of a competitive bidding type selection process to satisfy our purchasing policy?
Look back at the policy. We did send it out to
Gerald,
Thrasher,
Thrasher, these guys.
DNS,
Did you call somebody else? I thought we were 4 we're trying to talk to.
Shenandoah.
Shenandoah.
We just need to follow that.
We sent it to 4.
Okay, we just need, because I don't know anything about what's happened, I don't know whether we have or not. We just need to make sure that
Our requirement was 3.
We had
sent it to 4.
Okay.
We have 3 proposals: Shenandoah, DNS, and the third vendor opted not to respond.
Okay, but you contacted 3 and we satisfied our policy.
Right.
But
That's all I care about.
But this Shenandoah
Shenandoah
is not for that.
That's right. The Shenandoah is not.
So then we did 3 and 2 have responded.
It's not the canal.
No, this Shenandoah.
It's just
Shenandoah's
culverts.
like cleaning the brush.
The culverts and the ditches.
The culverts and ditches.
The roadside ditches.
Yeah.
And we need to make sure, the other point is we should make sure that we have an agreement, if it's a $44,000 number, have a written agreement in place with them as well. And I think we've got a standard one out there floating somewhere, if the board
Not to
decides to
exceed
approve
this
them.
amount.
Yes. And it was similar to the one that I did with the ditch digger, witch digger, whatever the digger
Audrey, you
place
paid
was.
attention to the attorney down here.
I'm sorry, no, I did not.
And so we need an agreement. If the board approves this, we
Okay.
need the agreement similar to the one that we used before. We need to make sure that's all right, with a not to exceed amount in it and some insurance, some liability protections there. And make sure that it is entered into and everything is done after October 1st, so it falls into the next budget year too.
Okay.
Correct.
Those are the 3 points that I've got about it. And then if we've done what our purchasing policy says, then I think it's okay. You can make a decision today.
Okay.
But is it on the agenda? I don't recognize it.
It would fall under the contracts.
It's under G.
G.
Okay.
Contracts, canal, perimeter cleaning.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Okay. I've got nothing else as far as the chair's report, treasurer's report.
All right. I provided all the reports to you. I provided the updated reports after we got the attorney's bill and the vacuum dig bill. Does anybody have any questions about any of the financial reports provided? No?
You should be happy.
And I've already given you the information and update on phase 2 collections. in the prior meeting, so I think we're good.
Okay. Attorney's report.
Yes, sir. This meeting is at a different time and day than your normal regular monthly board meeting. I did properly notice the time change to this date and time. It was published in the news press and it has been placed on the agenda, and I'll give a copy of the ad to Ms. Lawson so she can have it for our website records. Otherwise, any questions that you have, I'll be glad to answer. And I do have comments on business agenda items when you get down to item 11 on your agenda.
Okay. Does that conclude the attorney's report?
Yes, sir.
Amendments to the meeting agenda. Anybody got any?
Just that the one is being continued, right? 11J is being continued.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Utility
later.
permit fees, yes.
11G.
So we're just saying that.
No, J. I'm sorry, you're right.
J. Okay, that's all.
Okay.
Public input.
Any public input?
3 questions.
On the agenda items.
On the agenda items.
No.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
I agree.
We'll make an exception. There's so
He's
many
the
people.
chair. He can do what he wants.
You've been so kind and patient all morning.
I'll defer not going to the mic at this point. Audrey, has any of the homeowner or the company that owns the house at the end of the deeds, have they ever responded back in a respectful way to say, well, we're going to take the dam out of the ditch that they created when they put their water in?
Yeah, they've been back and forth with our
yeah.
engineer, and he's been firm on what they need to do to make sure that they leave our swales in good maintained standing,
Just wondering.
and also that they do not utilize our swale as an access road to their property. So they've been informed, it's in writing.
This is at the Bonita Villa.
Right.
Right, 2000.
2001 on the east side.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, the house under construction.
Right.
They've been notified of the need to restore the right-of-way. They're currently asking for an approval for substantial completion.
Okay.
We're going to deny that on the basis of the blockage and the fact that they've not done what they're supposed to.
You're referring to the CO?
They will write the CO.
Do we need a letter
We're satisfied.
from the board to, we need to just say this particular property is still not in compliance with our right-of-way, so please don't issue a CO.
Right.
Well, actually, in reverse of that, I'll tell you from a meeting that we had with the city of Bonita, the assistant city manager told us that they would not CO any building without Ron signing off on it. So he has to sign off without a letter from us. Ron has to sign off. So he'll be held accountable if they don't get it cleaned.
You might ought to confirm that with the city in writing that they're going to do that.
You do that.
Okay, I will. I just didn't know that they had committed to that.
They
But
did,
yes, sir.
and they said so at a meeting that we were in with their attorney, Skyped in.
It'll have more power with your signature on it.
Yeah.
I'll be glad to do
And
that.
I think you
Yes.
should copy Ron's engineering firm on that.
Yes.
We currently are on the city building department's checklist as an required item before they issue a CO. We had hoped to get that arrangement codified in the interlocal agreement. We have not seen yet. So I don't know that there needs to be any communication at this point unless you just want to reaffirm it with the city. But
I'm thinking about the Gallagher parcel in particular.
Absolutely.
I've had to send a couple of letters to the city
right.
confirming don't do anything, don't issue a CO on that particular item, just in the abundance of caution.
That's fine.
A letter on the district letterhead signed by Chairman Bradford saying, thank you very much. This will confirm that you all committed to not issue any certificates of occupancy until you receive our written approval from our engineer. Thank you very much. Best regards, Jim Bradford, Chairman.
I think we're good.
I think would be
They've created an additional mess down there.
And where would that be sent to? The
Probably
permitting
the
office?
inclusion of that gutter itself.
We have met with them. We have talked to the site people about this issue, so we'll be notifying the builder Monday.
Okay.
Earlier this week, I happened to be going down there for something else, and the little basic walk behind skid steer that you have a little bucket. The guy was going right in out of the ditch, pushing dirt up, right, and I like, my God.
That site's been a train wreck since it began.
Yes.
So,
It's a subject matter that Ron and I have had discussion on concerning all new construction, that they should be held accountable to making sure the ditches are put back to what they were before they started construction, and along with that before they get a CO. So anyway.
And just for the board's information, we've got 2 hooks to implement that compliance, and the one is the CO, and the 2 is the assurance that we have the right-of-way use agreement that Mr. Pringle's office put together as fully, and as you just signed a few minutes ago, we have those fully executed and on file so that we do have recourse against the property owner should we have issues. So
If we can hold it to the CO, it saves us a lot of money.
So we got a carrot and we got a stick. So
Okay.
we're good.
Okay, if we're moving along.
One more item, please.
Yeah, that was 2. Go ahead. You did say 3.
It'll only be 2. Second, is the culvert to be replaced under strike? Is that within the right of way of the railroad tracks?
No.
No. Those are
That's before.
railroad ditch culverts.
Yes.
Fireworks.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for your questions. Next time, get up and use the mic.
I did. All right, I'll add one more item. Would you be interested if I begin to inquire, would the board be interested? I begin to, thank you very much. David Cook, Beach Drive, for the good. Would the board be interested if I begin to inquire about, with the railroad company, about putting in a hard surface, a firm surface at the railroad tracks? What's between the railroad tracks now is just aggregate and compressed asphalt. If you drive down Burnwood and cross at Burnwood, that's a much more firm crossing. Also at Coker.
Yeah, I'm only going to tell you from a personal point of view. I do believe that you're wasting your time. They're fixing to convert the railroad track to another use, and I don't think you're going to see that. Secondly, I do believe that at the time they put up those lights there, they charged the water control district for those lights back then. Do you remember that, Chris? The lights when they went up for the railroad track?
Yeah.
We got billed for those.
We did?
I thought we did. I thought the water board had to pay for those.
Normally you do. Normally the railroad company requires the property owner to pay for any crossing improvements.
So that would come back to us, and because they're going to do something with it, let's just yeah.
The only question I would have is, if you do contact the railroad company, be curious to find out, have they given up ownership to that right of way, to this walking path they're trying to create from somewhere in Fort Myers all the way down to Naples? They're trying to convert all those railroad tracks. So I'm just curious, is the railroad now wash their hands of it and says it's now in some preserve fund for the walking path?
I have no idea.
I don't know.
So, only thing we know is what we've been reading on the news and TVs and stuff. So maybe we can look into that.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, David. Okay, adoption of fiscal year 2023-2024 district budget resolution.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. At this time, you have a public hearing to adopt the final budget of the district for the upcoming fiscal year beginning October 1, 2023 and ending September 30, 2024. By law, the board is required to adopt a budget for the upcoming fiscal year. This public hearing has been noticed in the news press separately from the notice of the meeting change. to today. The proposed budget was posted with the public notice in the news press, and so anyone who indicated that there might not be full transparency on this particular topic is wrong. Any earlier comments made related to that is incorrect. The budget is there and is posted, as was proposed and discussed in the workshops. It's the summary is before you. There's a resolution to adopt the budget summary. If there are any changes to the budget, this board can make those changes now before you adopt the budget by adopting the resolution. It is resolution number 2023-008. And the substantive part of the resolution is section 3 of the resolution, and says the Board of Supervisors hereby approves the district's budget, setting forth the total appropriations and revenue estimates and the total expenditures and reserve estimates for the fiscal year 2023-2024, commencing on October 1, 2023 and ending on September 30, 2024, in the amount of, and if you look at the budget summary, the amount of total revenue and fund balance carry forward is $2,121,620. Is that still accurate, Ms. Lawson?
Not exactly, because the fund balance that we had brought forward included doing the $66,000 work for Gerald, which did not commence in this fiscal year, so it can be modified later in the year.
We can do a budget amendment,
right?
But this is currently
yes
as accurate
as what we had as we
okay.
were in last month. Yes.
Okay. So then the total revenues and cash carry forward anticipated, the estimates, is $2,121,620. And if you adopt this resolution with that number, you will be adopting this budget summary. You can always amend it. It is an estimate,
right,
of revenues and expenditures. So that's the number, is $2,121,620 that I will plug into the resolution, unless you believe a different number should be used.
John, you had some comments that you were addressing as far as the legal and the administration that you were...
Yeah, but I think they've been addressed
okay.
During this meeting. So I'm okay with it. I can make a motion to adopt the budget summary
okay.
as stated.
I'll second that motion. Jennifer is absent.
Okay. So that's that resolution number 2023-008. That was the motion, was to adopt that resolution. Okay. Very good.
Okay.
I'm sorry. If you would please, right before you call for the vote, could you ask for public input one more time? This is a public hearing.
Any public input on the budget?
What do you think, Dave?
No public input on the budget allowed. Joking.
I can go get somebody.
Go get happy.
So,
okay, so you call for public input, Mr. Chairman. Call for the vote.
No public input.
Now call for the vote, and you'll be good. You'll be finished.
Calling for the vote on the budget for the 2023-24 budget year.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Very
Motion
good.
carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That item is concluded. The public hearing is concluded. We'll get the resolution signed today and get it on the website.
Okay.
Do I need to do a separate meeting minutes
No.
for this? Good.
Item number 11. Business agenda items requiring action. Minutes, meeting minutes approval for 8/21/23. Wait.
Oh, I vote. I make a motion to adopt the minutes meeting.
Seconded. Motion carries. Jennifer's absent. Financial report approval. 8/31/23, bank statements, 8/31/23, financial reports, 9/30/23, bills and financial reports as of 9/23/23.
I make a motion to adopt the financial report.
I'll second that. Motion carries. Election of officers.
Oh, I vote to retain the chair and the vice chair positions.
I second that.
And the secretary.
That's
the
next.
secretary
That's
treasurer.
next.
Okay,
Position.
okay.
That's- those
I'm
are
sorry.
And the
different
manager's
places.
position, yeah.
Those are different.
Okay,
different
so
actions.
just the chair and the vice chair is the only part of the motion. Thank you. Sorry.
Motion was second. Motion carries.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Jennifer was absent. Manager selection. I'm thinking of a new one. How about you?
I make a motion to maintain the current manager.
Thank you.
Let's see. There's only two of us.
Same terms and
Same terms, conditions, yes.
of
I'll
employment.
second that.
All in favor, aye. Motion carries.
Motion carries. Secretary treasurer selection.
I make a motion to maintain.
Okay.
Unless you don't want to.
I am declining the selection.
Pardon?
Yes.
Declining.
The nomination and selection.
So are you going to
I am resigning
you're resigning.
as of the end of the month.
So we have to make a transition now. So you're going to have to,
So I do offer a proposition,
okay?
as everybody knows, and the reasoning for my decision is basically because of my workload. This was never intended to be an ongoing long-term proposition. As Jim will recall, I was wanting to train Emily to do the position and then take over for me. I did train her for the first 8 months of the first year.
That's your daughter.
Oh, okay.
Daughter-in-law.
And until things went sideways in that April meeting, and she was verbally accosted, so I told her not to come to any more meetings. But she had said that because she is partially trained, she would be willing to do the position in the interim, and then when you all were ready to make application for more formal selection, she would probably apply for the position along with anyone else that you found, if you so. You would have that opportunity, but that way, then the business of the district could continue until you got to that point where you were able to do that.
Yeah, we'll need a transition plan because we're going to a new fiscal year.
But that's my transition plan.
Okay.
And the reason for that is, one, she's been partially trained, she's familiar with the programs, and I would be there to hold her hand and walk her through anything that she doesn't already know.
I'm going to make a motion that if that's in case the transition plan, in the interest of keeping it smooth, if it's your daughter, let's just keep
It's my daughter-in-law.
Her daughter-in-law. Let's keep your email the same with your name, and she'll just get copies of it to keep that paperwork flowing until there's a new person, or if it's her, then we can change secretary treasurer, Emily, or whoever's the person.
Yeah, I think we should just go through an interviewing process, though, so
I agree.
we have an opportunity to interview her when all members of the board are present.
Yep.
So I'll second that motion.
Okay.
So is she going to be acting
Yes,
as an interim
yeah.
until you
Yeah,
make your
it's
selection
gonna,
process?
It's going to have to be. Yep.
She would be here, but she had to take the boys bowling.
Execute this Sam
All
government.
right. So did we get a vote?
Yeah. All in favor, aye.
I second the vote. Motion carries
Same terms and conditions.
for the present time. Yes.
And I'll reflect that in the minutes to be a transitory situation. F.
Execute Sam government entity administrative letter.
We had to. Well, the manager kept pushing me to. I was trying to wait till November, but she said, "Oh no, we got to do it now. Got to do it now." So we renewed SAM.gov And there needs to be an entity administrator, and originally I retained that entity administrator, but we had talked with the manager, with Audrey, about shifting it to her at some point, and so she went ahead and did that on the system. So we need to sign the letter, and you did bring your notary stamp?
Yes, ma'am.
To make that formal. And then we will upload that letter to the sam.gov site. Under there.
We have to have approval first. Put a motion on the floor to approve this.
I second the motion.
Aye. Motion carries. Where did you want me to sign this out? I'm sorry.
Under respectfully at the top.
Oh, okay.
This is their template letter. It has to be exact. They're very non-conforming.
There you are, ma'am.
Thank you. And if I need you to notarize.
Contracts, canal, and perimeter road cleaning, roadway trimming, etc.
Yes.
We've already discussed that issue.
Yes.
We're looking for an approval on it.
I would make a motion that we approve DNS contingent upon they receive the not to exceed clause language of the amount. And what was the other thing, Richard, we had to do?
Liability insurance
so.
and the indemnification. So if you use the standard agreement, and if you'll send it to me, I'll check it off and make sure everything is grand with it. But it should be okay.
And that they will not start on or before
October 1st.
Well, we want to go a little later.
Yep.
First
October
week
15th.
after the first
Say
week.
October 7th or something.
Yeah, that first Monday, which I think is October 9th.
First Monday in October, okay.
If we get Carol on the scope,
The first Monday is the second. I'm
Yes.
saying go to the second.
Okay, so
October 9th.
Yes.
get Carol on the scope
Yes, sir.
and the RFP that they responded to,
Yes, sir.
then she can put together the contract.
Yes, sir. Is there was an RFP because
Yes.
we'll normally in the agreements where there is an RFP, I make it a part and their response a part of the contractual terms. So they can't come back later and say, oh no, well I didn't mean it. Well, wait a minute. That was part of the request and that was part of your response. You acknowledged and agreed to do it for that price.
Well, we'll get her those documents and then work with her to make sure it's pulled together in a format that's acceptable because it was a little out of sequence.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And that the entire work project is completed before it's paid for.
Is that I'm sorry, is that part of the response?
I think it should be that the entire work project is finished before it's paid for.
Was
yeah,
this
payment upon completion
okay?
of the project.
Make sure that you tell me that is a term when you send that scope to me, please.
Yeah, my reluctance there is that when we hired Vacuum
Yes.
Dig, we had a scope of work that was given to us and we voted to move forward with them, realizing that not due to their fault, but due to the difference in the nature of the cleaning project, we had to redirect. But their initial project was 7 days, entire subdivision. There wasn't a person sitting up here that thought they could complete it in 7 days, unless they brought a whole fleet of vac trucks in, which we didn't know if they didn't have. So, with all due respect, that's why I think we need to start making sure the work's completed. If they don't complete the work, they can't expect payment. It shouldn't be a partial payment. It should be a complete payment. You do the work or you don't do the work.
The other thing I think you ought to consider is, since we meet once a month, some of these vendors think they can come in the next day and just pick up a check. I think they should be also said that the check would be available at the next
board meeting.
board meeting.
Or after the next board meeting. And I agree with that. In the fire department, there was never checks issued in middle of months for anything.
And the check's only issued after the engineering firm signs off
on it.
I think there's language in that contract that says they have to submit the invoice. It has to get approved by the board, and we pay within 30 days of the submittal of the invoice to give us that opportunity, give you that the board the opportunity to approve it.
Okay. Is there language in there about engineering's final sign off or not?
I don't remember that being in there.
I'm going to put that in from now on because of the vacuum dig scenario.
Final acceptance.
Yeah, Vacuum Dig wanted to pick their check up before the meeting, and I said, no, it won't be available until after. So that's why I bring it up.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think they had language in the contract, so they couldn't do that. They were just
We've been talking about vacuum dig.
Wait, do we need to say now
We need a
vote on
motion.
this?
We already did that. John,
Yeah, I think
you did. John, you
Okay.
did it.
You approved.
And
At a previous board meeting, Vacuum Dig, Audrey had brought their proposal to us. It was not in response to an RFP. There was not a formal contract given, just simply the proposal.
Okay.
I would much prefer in the future that we solicit these responses, responses to a formal RFP, and that we do have a formal contract going forward. That's our goal and intention.
And we would agree with that.
But with respect to Vacuum Dig, given it is what it is, the board did authorize 5 days at $3,600 a day, or $18,000 in work product from Vacuum Dig. They did complete, and we did sign off and approve 3 days worth of work totaling $10,250, which leaves a balance of $7,750 still available as approved funds for Vacuum Dig.
They did, in fact, though, on
Did the contract give that number?
Penson Drive, not come back
I
and
didn't
clean
see the
up the
contract.
debris they left in front of
see the
the.
contract.
That's still an issue. Okay.
I'm sorry.
It's
What my objective would be with that $7,700 is to continue the cleaning out of the perimeter canals, outfalls from the end of Pinson east to Stillwell. Get all of that cleaned out. And if they use that as funds up, I think they will probably get more done than that. I think there'll be funds to move to the north end and clean some of those. I would just like to clean culverts till I run out of money on that budget.
Perimeter canal culverts.
Perimeter canal outfall culverts,
Outfall, okay.
which are the pipes at the end of each street that discharge to the perimeter canal. While they're in the process of doing that, I'm going to put together an RFP and get them a bid on, and we'll get other bids as well from Shenandoah and some other vendors. Get bids to do the rest of the perimeter outfall canals. And
Okay.
so just let you know where we're headed.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I may,
You may.
my only question is, please make sure I prepared a contract with them, and I thought there was a not to exceed dollar amount in it, and I thought it was less than what you're saying.
Okay.
If I didn't bring that with me, and I don't remember off the top of my head. If the contract that they signed had a not to exceed number less than that,
Right.
we need to amend the contract to increase it to this new number you're describing.
Or bring it down to
Yes,
that number.
either the contract number is the cap, or if you need more work done, the board can approve more work and through an amendment to the contract that increases that not to exceed number. I just don't remember what that not to exceed number was.
I don't either, and I don't know that I've seen the contract, so.
I think we got to that number because they said 5 days, $3,600 a day is $18,000. If they've done 3 days worth of work, on paper they have 2 more days. If we need to amend it,
Yes, sir.
because 2 more days of an entire road being cleaned out versus just perimeter canal
Yes, sir.
drop-offs, that might be, they might get 4 or 5 days out of that.
Right.
And I think you're right, John. We did say $18,000.
Yes.
In the contract.
Yeah.
But I don't know
just
about the
did, but I
contract. I
don't
mean, in the
remember
meeting.
What that number
In the
is,
meeting.
but their proposal was, for each day they had a $250 disposal fee. And
Yeah.
that was waived because we had an on-site disposal
Right.
source. So that added about $12.50 back to culvert cleaning away from disposal. So if, I'll touch base with Carol and get a copy of the contract. And whatever that number is, I think we just drop down to that number.
Yes, sir. Whatever the not to exceed number is in the contract. Yes,
And then
sir.
we'll get them to propose on the balance of the culvert cleaning. That'd be the simplest way to do it.
That's actually really good for them because they get to experience just the culvert cleanings, and they'll be able to say, "Yeah, we got another dozen done in that not to exceed amount. We got 50 to go, so now we know what we're going to bid."
And make sure that they know that the on-site disposal still is out there.
Okay, absolutely.
Ron, did you ever check Mountain View's outfall? After the hurricane, I had sent you emails when I was going out or at the time of the Hurricane Idalia, going through the different ones, and I mentioned that one on Mountain View looked like it was not draining. I couldn't see anything on the other side of the canal where the water was draining through, but it could have been due to the overgrowth.
I would have to go back and look. I know I did go up there and take a look at it.
I mean, one side was flowing freely, the other side just looked like it was not.
That was in an area where Mountain View
Is on the north side.
Is
North side and the strike.
It's east of Stillwell.
Yes.
The very end.
Right, at the east of Stillwell.
Well, it's on the Gulf side of Stillwell.
Right, north side of Strike.
I don't know my
East of
lefts and
Stillwell.
rights.
West of Stillwell.
No, isn't it when you cross over Stillway, stay on strike?
No, Mountain View
Is
is
on
on this side
of
the
Stillwell.
strike lane,
It's west
on the
side.
left-hand
Stillwell.
side. It's
That
the first road this side of Strike.
That was, Vacuum Dig had submitted a request for payment that indicated that they had done work in that area. We inspected it and said, no, you haven't. I mean, whatever you've done, you've not completed what you were agreed to do. So that was the day that we objected to payment for. I went out and met with the young lady from Vacuum Dig. She agreed with me completely, and that charge has gone away. There's not been an issue, which left us with the budget remaining to continue the work. So the answer to the question is, yes, did go look. No, nothing had been done there.
But we don't know if it's draining or not draining.
Right. But it is on the schedule to get taken care of. And that's exactly why we're doing that is, we kind of refocused their effort from roadside culverts to these end culverts, because as I understand it, Pinson, Papillon, and Catskill have all worked quite well since.
Oh yeah, they were absolutely clear.
Yeah, so
after that rain.
I think it's appropriate we're refocusing our goal here and getting that cleaned out, and then we'll continue to move forward with it.
Okay, any more subject on that? If not, we're moving forward. Filter marsh management.
That's an Audrey and John topic.
This is an Audrey and John topic. Well, I met with Mr.
Brown.
Mr. Brown Collins, and we met at the detention pond, and I was inquiring what he does for us, and he said he will assess how the trees are doing. Couldn't really figure out what he does, but anyway, he says that he will spray the invasive plants. And I know from a previous conversation with someone who's familiar with that process that they use a blue dye, and he said he does not use a blue dye. I'm like, okay. He just sprays, and I'm like, all right. And then I asked him, he said something about he'll take like a sample of the tree, and I said, oh, okay, well, where do you bring the sample? And he said, any lab. And I said, well, I don't care about any lab, I want to know where you bring yours. And he said, someplace in Fort Myers, but he didn't really know the name of the lab. And his next comment was, if you went there, they wouldn't know me because I'm not there that often. So I'm really not sure what he does for us other than spray some stuff. When I first met him, he said, they just kind of keep me on the books because I've been around forever, so I just submit a little bill. But looking back at his bills, they're upwards of $500–600. The 1 month I met with him, he submitted a bill for $150. And then it went right back to up there. So I don't know. He says he was in the district for $7. He's working under someone else's license. I did speak with that gentleman, and he told me, Sir Ravella, I think is the name. I can't pronounce it correctly. And he said he and another gentleman went to the district to do some spraying, and therefore incorporate the $7 of spraying. I don't know who these people are or where they park. I've never seen anybody parked anywhere for more than an hour anywhere in our district. But anyway, we're paying this, and I don't know, not really sure what the deal is. He's pleasant to speak to.
What is the requirement, didn't mean to interrupt, what is the requirement, Mr. Edenfield, for the work that Brown does? Is there a requirement?
Is it part of like the MS4 permit? Is it part of any water plan? Anything?
The filter marsh is part of the water quality treatment system per the South Florida permit.
Okay.
It provides both
Filtering process.
There's an ecological offset, a mitigation impact that it satisfies by creating a wetland for wetlands that may have been disturbed during the building of the road project, the realignment of strike lane. So that's one aspect, and our obligation to that permit is to maintain that area exotic-free in perpetuity.
Mm-hmm. The term exotic-free.
From exotic-free from acacia, melaleuca, Brazilian pepper, various vines, etc.
Does that require a specialist to do that, or we have Tony in the subdivision who knows what the trees are. He knows what needs to be there, what doesn't.
If that particular individual knows the difference between a good bush and a bad bush.
Are you talking about exotics versus?
Exotics.
Okay.
Exotics versus natives versus planted. If any individual with that level of familiarity could take care of that effort.
I know, speaking with, I always refer back to Matt Feeney because he's the guy that I've talked to a lot. He even indicated during one of the meetings when I asked him that same question that there was a time when Mr. Brown said we need to remove the bigger trees and put in new smaller plants because they're getting too big. And the next question, the next thing from Matt Feeney was that yes, you could say that, but a little plant only, it might do 100% of the filtering process as it grows. The big tree does 60%, which it still does more than a brand new little tree. So changing the trees out does not make sense.
The purpose of the plants, and this is a fundamental maintenance aspect of filter marshes. Filter marshes don't truly, well, they do provide a filter function, but their primary function for water quality is absorption, adsorption, contact, and filtration to cause sedimentation. Mm-hmm. Nutrient uptake is really the objective of a filter marsh. You bring the nutrient-laden water into the system, you have the plant use the water to grow, and it stores in it those nutrients that you're trying to get out of the water.
That's what we're referring to as the filter marsh.
I'll ask you this question, which plant requires more fertilizer? The one just coming up, or the one that's fully grown, seeded out, and ready to die?
We both know the answer to that. It's the young one.
The young one.
But
that's the hungry one. In a filter marsh, one of the key components to long-term productivity of those systems is to go in and harvest the biomass at the root level, and then allow the other part of the filter marsh as a seed source to regenerate new growth in that area where you've removed the biomass, the plant mass. you take that out of the system, because again, that plant is retaining all the nutrients that it's absorbed.
One thing I'm a stickler on is checks and balances.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe in one person. I don't believe in me being in charge of one thing without John checking to make sure it's done if we're doing it as a service, okay? So there's got to be checks and balances, and it seems to me there's been a free reign on that area for a lot of years without questioning what's been being done. So I have to commend Audrey for her job in questioning, okay? The answers aren't the issue of the questioning. It's just that the questions have been asked. They have stirred the pot, and now getting down to a resolution to that.
So in support of what Chairman Bradford's saying is, I brought this topic up before, I think both of you. Is this something that FGCU could get some graduate students coming in as part of their field work to check on that? And we're not paying for it, and they get some field study. And there's a check and balance.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's something that a graduate student would entertain. It's not a thesis-based.
All right, would FGCU Water School do it for the same amount of money we're paying Brown, but now we're going to get reports?
Mm-hmm.
I know that when your predecessor was out here doing work, he quite often hired FGCU students to do the work out here instead of their people showing up.
Well, hiring students, but getting a graduate student to take it on as a project, I guess I misunderstood.
Or maybe make it part of an internship. They rotate the students, but here's the profile, the protocols of what you're doing every time you come out here. Once a month, you check the growth. You do this, whatever. Because one thing I'm not a fan of is you say harvest it, or take down all the cypress and put new small cypress in. I think it's very pretty, all the big cypress.
Typically, you'll get better results by removing the shrubs and ground cover.
That I can understand.
That's going to be your productive zone. Yeah.
So do we have a conclusion here? Or are we going to try to see if FGCU can take on some of this as a check and balance with Mr. Brown? And if they're doing the same thing, then do we really need Mr. Brown anymore?
Florida Gulf Coast University.
I can work with Audrey on that.
Yeah, we can find out.
Thank
I
you.
just asked Ms.
So we need to make a motion that they'll investigate that, or
They're going to do that. Let's see what the result is.
Sure.
Leave it on.
I don't
the
think
agenda.
that requires a motion.
okay.
Gate
So-
damage.
No action taken. Further reporting is going to be made to the board. Is that a reasonable?
Yes.
Okay, good.
And we do not at this time want to discharge Mr. Brown.
We what?
We do not at this time
No,
want to
we're-
discharge.
No, apparently not discharging with this.
Any further action until additional reporting coming?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, gate damage.
The gate was damaged to the tune of $369.95. It was actually repaired by Bob at Gatekeepers. He picked it up and dropped it off. He picked it up at my house, dropped it off at the gate, installed it, and brought me the temporary arm that we were using. So it is now operating. It's sturdier than it was before. So that was the cost to the district for that repair.
Okay. I was a little sad. I know that gate has been knocked down a number of times by big trucks, including fire trucks. But that damage at the angle that they would have hit it should not have caused it to crack in the fashion that it did. I think we should keep an eye on the, if we have continued cracks in those areas with those arms. While I was recently away from town on vacation, I traveled through a lot of different places that had a lot of those arms, and they were made out of many different materials in many different shapes, and it might just mean that we need to look at a different structure for it.
Sure.
And if we ever come to that conclusion, I would suggest that we look at maybe a lightweight boulder-looking piece of material than a stick, and maybe the trucks and cars won't try to pass through it the way they do.
Would there be any benefit to getting some kind of some other metal to go over top of the existing arm piece welded on,
Like
just
a
to provide, yeah, like a sleeve to provide some added strength.
Because the arm, allow me to answer this. You know,
I'll let her do
because
that.
the arm has a particular circumference that has to fit into the sleeve which it holds. You don't really want to add to that. He actually inserted into and then welded from the internal.
That would work
to
too.
Not increase the circumference. He did a really good job. He even painted it. You wouldn't even know that the thing was really hit.
So I wonder
And
if that would.
the design of it is with nylon bolts, so that when something does hit it, it's supposed to just strip off, drop onto the ground. The downside is somebody should run up there, unplug the wire, which is made to be unplugged, set it alongside of the road until they call us and we come fix it. I've gone and put it back myself several times. I even carry the spare bolts on my golf cart. So,
I guess I'm back to, should we try and reinforce the other arm? Would that prevent similar damage?
Respectfully, I wouldn't touch it unless it needs to be repaired.
I'm going to bring up a subject on this gate.
Sure.
That I did some research. I sent it out to the board. I think it's now time to consider a real monitoring system for that gate that we have some control over. And
I think that's on K, right?
Is that K?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
so
So
we'll
when we
catch
get
it
to
down
K,
there.
that's what I'm proposing.
Utility permit fee, we're done with the gate, so
So no action required.
none required. Utility permit fee, Comcast, Florida Power and Light, and CenturyLink.
And we've already said we're
We
pushing that off to
continued
next
that
month.
one to the next month.
Pardon?
We continued that one.
Okay,
Continuing next
that's
month.
been continued to the next month. Now,
Now we're on the
gate system.
Okay.
And it is in your packet, some of the information you provided.
Would somebody
John.
shake the crowd and wake them up?
We're trying. Come on, Dave, let's get this done.
Bring in Happy. That'll shake everything.
It's the last thing in your packet.
The very last thing.
Here you go. Here you go, Joe.
Okay. Anyway, I did a little research, and this company's out of was it Georgia or North Carolina, I think, and they're U.S. based, U.S. made. They incorporate some components from overseas, but basically a U.S. company which has a monitoring service and their own algorithm software they wrote, and they're big all over the East Coast for a lot of HOAs and government facilities for solar powered
Camera system.
5G cellular linkage of camera systems going up to the cloud. And each camera with 2 solar modules and all the, it's got battery backup and everything. All of that is $1,200 a pop. Plus then I think it was $90 a month for the cellular service and unlimited phone, unlimited data. And then the shipping, and then and then they would monitor. We could monitor it. We could have applications go to our phones, some of the supervisors and the manager, and then we'll see that. We'll get alerts if someone triggers an event at the gate, or they could do it. And basically per camera, it's because we're a government entity, they give us a discount. We paid in a yearly lump sum of $30 a month, so $60 for 2 cameras. We have to install it, but they give us all the specs how to install it. Take a 16-foot 4x4 treated lumber, dig a hole, pour some concrete, lift up the post with the, I suggest put the modules and the camera on, then lift it up and brace it, lock it in place. And I've been studying the gate now, where to put these, because you've got to get the sun to hit those modules, so you get enough sun. And then we could get people coming in and coming out. We'll be able to see the vehicles, get a zoom of their license plate. They work at night. They have 120-degree panoramic. They work infrared, and it's 4K definition. The other ones I've been doing research on, they have deals with like Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, and then they charge you so many dollars per gigabyte of data, and they don't give the alerts. This is the one company that I found that it's sort of one-stop shopping. The only difference is we could save $720 a year if we do the monitoring for the 2 cameras, or we pay them and they do the monitoring, and they'll still contact us, say, hey, we just saw a vehicle go through, they broke the gate, you're getting an alert, but they're going to have photo information. I don't know if we need to have a statement to the public as well as signs there at the gate. If you come in, you're not allowed, and you break this gate, you're trespassing, and we're going to file a police report for you trespassing. And then if obviously you broke the gate, we're going to say you pay for the gate. Collecting is a different story, but at least we can start putting out there, because right now it's doing nothing. Where there's some cameras up there and they don't do anything.
They don't work.
Yeah.
So with all due respect, the cost of those cameras, as I recall, in a budget year a few years back, they were around $8,000, if I'm correct, and they weren't qualified cameras to get any good information and never had been. So I happen to think that this is a great idea, and we need to do this, and we need to have the signage up that says, like you said, something similar to that. And I think it's something that the amount of damage that's being done to the gate, the signs and the cameras will help negate that. I think we should move forward with doing this.
You did include some allocation for cameras in next year's budget.
I know.
Yeah.
So
the only thing that's not included here is the labor volunteered and the cost of the concrete.
I'll help you do it.
But I think we get enough people to do that.
You know, I got that $50 a month.
Does it have recorded video, or is it streaming?
Recorded video, cloud, unlimited. According to what they said, Audrey can follow up with me on this. But it was unlimited data, unlimited cloud storage, and 24/7 if they do the monitoring. And I think for $720 a year for 2 cameras, quite frankly, if we really like it, my personal opinion is put a 3rd camera out in Strike Lane in the entrance when they come in, so people know they're being recorded. Because I'll tell you, some people coming in here that...
Why don't we just do it as we're doing this?
And we do all 3.
I would happen to agree with that, and then put a sign up at the beginning of the subdivision.
You're coming in here as private roads.
You're being monitored, your tag is being monitored, and the picture of the driver is being monitored.
Yep.
That'll keep a lot of riffraff out, especially people who have got a record, and they won't come into the subdivision.
Ex-Calicoco is back up on inactive.
Ex-Calicoco, what's that?
The house in Lane.
Some of us got.
Okay. Okay.
Do you own land here? Are you authorized to use that clicker? My goodness.
That's business expense.
I didn't even get $50 out of him.
You know what he's going to do?
$50?
He's probably going to charge us.
Send me a bill.
Well, I've had a couple clickers this month that people have handed me, and I've gone down to the gate and reprogrammed them and fixed them for them. So,
Is this one broken?
and my $50 a month has still got some leftover money.
So do we need to make a...
That's not over.
Yeah.
Should we be making a motion on these cameras here or not?
Yes, sir. If you're going to expend money, yes, sir.
You want to put a motion on the
I'll
floor?
put a motion on the table that we do more details investigation, verify all this, but if it works out, I think we should get these cameras and get them installed in the month of October.
I would like to put that, I will second that motion, providing that John Salucci will take that on as his project.
Done.
Motion to purchase.
All to take effect after October 1st.
Yeah, of course.
So we're in the next budget.
I think we buy them October 1st. When I spoke with them, it's about once they give us a formal proposal and we pay, it's about 2 weeks of production. So probably the odds of us getting cameras before November are slim to none.
Sign the contract October 1st and you're good.
Okay?
If you sign it October 1st or after, it'll
follow
be the
up on
next
that?
budget year.
Thank you.
Okay, so when would you want that check on the October
Let's get the
16th
formal-
meeting?
Let's get the formal bid.
November meeting, probably.
Yeah, probably November. We're going to be sending the check to them.
Yeah, I know. So I was going to say, have it ready for October 16th, because then you'll have it in November.
Yeah, if you could follow up this week, you got the email from the technical engineer I spoke to. Contact him, copy me, and say the board is approved to do this. We actually want to do 3 cameras, 3 systems. Could you make it a formal quote? 3 monitoring, et cetera, and then get it to us dated October 1st, and then we can sign the contract. Correct?
After October 1st, yes, sir.
And I'll put it on the I'll put it on October's meeting.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Put it on October's meeting.
Okay.
So there was a motion and
There
a
was a
second.
motion and a
vote.
second.
All in favor? Aye.
Motion carried it.
Perfect.
Okay.
Public input.
Well, I have to ask that one again.
I think we already got David's.
Public input. Okay, no public input. Supervisors' comments. John? Jim?
Nothing.
Nothing. Okay. Motion to adjourn.
I second the motion.
All in
Aye.
favor?
All in favor? Thank you, everybody, for coming
Thank
today.
you.
And it's been 4.5 hours. Thank you for your Saturday.